Hello and welcome to Lexi's Healthy Dynamic Life Raw Yoga Workshop. My name is Lexi Tavares. I'll be your host. And here I have the gorgeous Alicia, who will be my assistant today in demonstrating and taking the workshop with you. This workshop is called Practicing the Art of Balancing. We're going to have so much fun. So go get your yoga mat. If you don't have a yoga mat, you could use any firm, stable surface. You could practice indoors or outdoors. You might like to have a set of blocks or eggs. If you'd like, you could incorporate any other props you desire as well. The sky is the limit here. For practicing the art of balancing, I wanted to share with you kind of why we're even doing this today. So have you ever thought yourself or heard someone say they are looking for, seeking, searching for balance? I know I have. But the thing is, when we language it that way, that we're looking for something or searching for balance, we're implying that balance is a place that we get to that suddenly makes everything good permanently, but that's really not what balance looks like in this world. Balance is a dynamic practice, right? We're constantly adjusting and adapting to what life brings our way. So practicing the art of balancing on the mat can also help us in our everyday life off the mat, right? Like this relationship of the yin and the yang, the feminine, the masculine, the emotional and the rational, the left side and the right side of the body. And the yin and the yang relationship represent this beautiful relationship of opposing and contradictory yet complementary and interrelated forces. So like finding center or practicing the art of balancing and coming back to center. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay, awesome. So today we are going to practice the art of balancing with some standing postures. But before we do that, I'd like us to kind of come to this present moment and to cultivate our breathing practice that will carry us through the workshop, right? Because breathing, the pranayama practice, the life force that we are bringing into our body and sending out back into the world, that's our anchor point in life. As long as we're breathing, we're alive. So throughout the practice today, throughout the postures, it's super important to continue to breathe. So I invite you, if you're watching from home or outside, to come to a comfortable seated position to start with. You can come into Sukhasana, easy pose with us, and start to notice how you're sitting. You know, some of us tend to roll our shoulders forward or stick our head out. Just notice where you're at. And then start to engage Mula Bandha, the bandha of the pelvic floor. Uddiyana Bandha feels like pulling your belly towards your spine. And as you do that, you might feel a shift of your body lifting upwards as it roots down simultaneously. You can think of knitting the ribs together under the first and second rib. Beautiful. And then take your shoulders, maybe do a little shoulder roll up and back. Yeah. And then using the back muscles, allow the shoulders to open, opening the heart center, opening the chest. Beautiful. And you can bring the backs of the hands to the knees. You can bring the palms to the knees. Beautiful. And then as we move our awareness up our body, bring the chin ever so slightly toward the shoulders to bring the ears over the shoulders in line, right? We don't want to lift our chin up or down, just keep it about parallel to the earth. Beautiful. And then you can close your eyes if you haven't already. And we'll just bring awareness to our breath. Good. And notice where you most sense the breath today. Is it in the tip of the nose, the back of the throat, the chest or the belly rising and falling? Is it in the shoulders? And as you notice where your natural breath is falling, I invite you to direct your breath into the lower abdomen, the belly, and then the chest, and then the top of the heart. Beautiful. So we're using our whole center body, allowing the diaphragm to expand and contract. Beautiful. And we're going to practice Ujjayi breathing. Ujjayi means victorious, which is really cool to embody this one of victory, right? So for Ujjayi breathing, it's also sometimes known as the ocean breath or the Darth Vader breath because of the sound quality that results from this practice. So what we're going to do is practice the same breath into our belly, up through our chest, and up to our heart, but we're going to be breathing specifically in and out of the nose. What's going to happen is we're going to slightly constrict the back of our throat, almost like we're breathing in through a straw through our nose. So the consequence is this beautiful sound of ocean waves, or that famous Darth Vader sound. Beautiful. So if you've come out of your posture, I invite you to come back into your Sukhasana, your easy pose, aligning the spine, relaxing the shoulders, opening the heart. Good. Slight tuck of the chin. Beautiful. Good, and it takes practice, so keep breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, Ujjayi breath, allowing it to show up as it does. Good, relaxing shoulders. Let's take 5 more rounds of Ujjayi breath here. You're welcome to close your eyes. At your own pace. Whenever you've completed your 5 rounds of Ujjayi breath, just do a self-check-in at this time. See how you're feeling now compared to how you felt before starting this workshop, before we started our breathwork practice. How are you feeling, Allie?
Centered.
Centered. Awesome. So breathwork is something I find super important to practice before asana, the postures, and throughout the posture practice as well.
I appreciate that. I wouldn't have done the sitting and checking in with myself before the movement, so I appreciate that suggestion.
I'm so glad to hear that. And if you're watching from home, how do you feel? Take a moment. You could journal if you'd like, or talk to yourself. And feel free to pause this video and practice your Ujjayi breathing as long as you'd like. It took me a while to get that quality of sound, so if you don't quite experience that yet, just keep practicing and it will come. All right, awesome. Let's come to a standing position, and I invite you to get up however you'd like. So have fun with it. You can come through table, you can dance up to it, you can get sassy if you want, you can be animalistic, tap in with your body. Oh yeah, I love it. Whether you got up the way you always do or got creative, I appreciate it. So the first posture that we are going to practice today is called Tadasana.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Tada means mountain, asana means pose. So what are some things that come to mind when you picture or think about a mountain?
Strength, stillness, silhouette, time.
Cool. I love the 3 S's, strength, stillness, and silhouette. And the cool thing about mountains too is that, yes, they are still, right, in a moment when we observe them, but over time, what can happen? You said time.
So much change.
Right?
Yeah.
So much can change, erosion,
And it took time for
growth,
yeah.
movement. So while, mountains appear to be very still in a moment of time, they also are adaptable and flexible and willing to change. So that's something we can think about as we come to practice, learn Tadasana. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is actually just bring our feet together. So we have a nice line in between our toes and heels. Beautiful. Okay. And just notice how you feel. We're not going to stand in any particular way first. We're just going to check in with our body and see maybe what our natural standing position is. Okay, so you're welcome to do this with your eyes open or closed. It's up to you and your comfort level. And then just do a body scan. How do you feel in your feet? Where do you feel the weight in your feet? Is it in the balls of the foot, the heels, the outside, the inside? Is it evenly distributed? Are you more to the left or the right? Without any judgment, let's just notice where we're at right now. Let's bring our awareness up to our ankles. How do our ankles feel? Moving up to the lower leg, how do you feel in the calves? How do you feel in the shins? How do you feel in your knees? How do you feel in your thighs? In the hamstrings? In the outer leg? How are you feeling in your hips? How are you feeling in your glutes? How do you feel in your abdomen? How do you feel in your low back? How is the quality of your breathing? Are you remembering to breathe? Where do you sense the breath? How do you feel in the mid-back? How do you feel in the upper back? How do you feel in the heart space? How do you feel in your shoulders? How about the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the fingers? How do you feel in your neck, in the front, in the back, and the sides? And how do you feel in your head, your jaw, your cheeks, your forehead, your hair follicles, your ears? How are you feeling overall? Good. If you have a mirror nearby, you could take a look and see, what does my shape look like? What are the qualities of my silhouette? Good. And now just shake it off. Shake it all away. Wiggle it all away. Ooey gooey. You do empty coat sleeves. Feels good too. Good. So now we're going to build Tadasana, and from an Iyengar perspective, which is alignment based, but also adapting this posture to feel good in your body. If you feel pain that is not good, stop and make an adjustment, right? There's always a variation available to make this empowering and strengthening and also soft for you. So Tadasana is a powerful pose, right? Sometimes we're in a flow of vinyasa sequence and we come to Tadasana and we might think of it as like, okay, this is just a chance to take a few breaths before I dive into the next part of the sequence. But really, we could take advantage of Tadasana to build strength, to work on balance, to increase tapas, fire in the body. So it's really, it can be an underrated pose, but it has the potential for so much in our practice. So I invite you to take that perspective on as we play with Tadasana today. So from an Iyengar perspective, we're going to bring the feet together, the toes and heels touch. You also could bring them hip width apart. So if you take your forefinger and your middle finger and find your hip bones and make a straight line down, that's where you'd want your the space between your big toe and your second toe to be, right? That's about hip width, okay? So engage your core, engage Mula Bandha, engage Uddiyana Bandha. Beautiful. So what that's gonna do, can you turn to face this way? First, just relax, right? Sometimes when we relax, we stick out our booty, right? Our lower back tightens, our chest sticks out, and our knees might bend. But when we engage Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha, immediately what's going to happen is the tailbone is going to shoot straight toward the earth, and the low back is going to lengthen. Our core is, oh yeah, her core is super engaged. I can feel that strength. How do you feel in your body before and after we engaged our bandhas? Stronger. Okay, beautiful. Do you notice any other adjustments in your body as a result?
Tucking the tailbone,
Yeah.
for sure, is a little unnatural, but feels good.
Okay, so it might feel a little unnatural at first, right? But that slight tuck, I like to call it more of a lengthening to avoid like over tucking or contracting. But yet ever so slightly, we're going to be stacking our joints, which feels really good and aligned and strong, right? Because when our bones are stacked, our muscles are working much more efficiently, much more easily. Okay, beautiful. So she's choosing to have her feet hip width apart. If we do that, I invite you to consider imagining train tracks. So creating parallel lines from your toe to your heel. Nice adjustment. Beautiful. Okay, so our core is engaged. Our tailbone is shooting towards the floor. And now we're bringing our attention to our feet. Okay, so our foot has 3 points if it's a triangle, right? If this is my toe, this is my pinky toe, big toe, pinky toe, we have our pad of our foot here, our pad of our foot here, and then the heel of our foot. So imagining this triangle in our feet rooting into the earth. Do you want to step back? I feel like I'm so close. Okay, perfect. And then just shift your weight forward. See what that feels like. Shift your weight back into your heels. See what that feels like. Good. Come back to center. Shift your weight over to your left. Shift your weight over to your right. And then come back to center. So this comes back to our theme of balance, right? It's a dynamic practice. It's an art form. There might never be a point in which, okay, I'm perfectly balanced and I'm gonna hold it. As soon as we start to think about that, we come out, right? So allow this natural experience of, oh, okay, I might be going a little bit forward. I'm going to engage and come and bring it back, right? The ankles are working and making these micro adjustments, which is building ankle strength, another positive physical benefit of Tadasana. So, okay, we've got our 3 pads of our feet rooted into the earth. Lift the toes, spread them out, and then bring them onto the earth, ever so slightly engaging them. So we're not gripping the toes, right? We're relaxed, but we're gently engaging Pada Bandha, our foot lock, right? To secure our stance. Can you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. As we engage Pada Bandha, the arches of our feet are activated. So they feel like they're lifting off of the earth. Do you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Okay, great. So we're going to be working from the ground up as we move through Tadasana. How you doing?
Great.
All right, awesome. Strong like a mountain. So from the feet, bring your awareness up to the ankles, right? Notice any micro movements happening. Engage the lower legs. What's going to happen is the kneecaps are going to lift slightly. So you don't want to lock the knees. You don't want to hyperextend. I have hypermobility in my joints from years of dancing, so I have to actively think about a slight bend in my knees while still thinking straight and strong. So to do that, you're going to engage the quadriceps and think of lifting up towards the hips. This isn't a rest pose, right? We are actively engaged. My legs are starting to feel this. How do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay, so we're going to keep working our way up, engaging the glute muscles. The entire glute is engaged, squeezing together, remembering that lengthening of the lower spine, that ever so slight tuck. Good. So strong. And some teachers will cue to think of a spiral, an inner spiral of the inner thighs coming in and around, and then an outer spiral. I encourage you to be careful. I have almost knock knees, so I want to be aware of keeping my knees over my toes as I engage the muscles. Just check in with your structure of your body to do that safely. Beautiful. Now, slightly hollowing out the ribs, right, under the first and second rib, knitting those together. Beautiful. Look at this amazing posture. Good. Engaging the back shoulder muscles to open the chest. Beautiful. Ever so slight tuck of the chin and bringing the ears towards the shoulders. Good. And then feeling this strength, this vital energy, this force rooting into the ground, coming out of the crown of the head into the heavens. And then this energy is flowing through the arms. We'll have the palms facing our body. This is Iyengar style. You're also welcome to bring the palms facing forward into the anatomical position if that feels good for you. And we're going to stay here for 10 Ujjayi breaths. Here we go. Remember to breathe into the belly, into the chest, expanding the rib cage as you breathe, engaging the core. And as you breathe, imagine being your favorite mountain. What kind of trees are growing on you? What kind of weather are you experiencing? And coming back to balance, right? Whatever the weather, whatever climbers come join you, whatever foliage decides to grow with you, you're at peace. You're adaptable, you're flexible. You can practice balance. Keep breathing, strong mountain. Good. Energy in the arms, out the fingertips. And just when you want to give up, do one more breath. Smile, you did it. Shake it off. Ta-da! Amazing. So there are also variations of Tadasana and Samastiti, right? So Samastiti is more from Ashtanga practice of yoga and is practiced with the feet about hip width apart. You'll also bring your hands to heart center. So this is another beautiful expression of equal standing pose, right? Another variation is to extend the arms overhead, palms facing each other. Good. Everything that we worked on in Tadasana, the core engaged, everything active from the ground up is the same, except for our arms are extending overhead. So we feel a nice energy in our limbs, all limbs. Good. And we can think about pressing our shoulders down as well. So we have this opposite action. So let's practice our Ujjayi breathing in Samastiti. So find your stance, right? Feet are hip width apart. Beautiful. Start by engaging Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, lengthening the low back, slight tuck. Beautiful adjustment. Good. And then using your body scan from your feet, 3 pads, grounding into the earth, toes up, out, Pada Bandha, arches lift, lower legs engaged, kneecaps lift, quadriceps engaged, glutes engaged, squeezing, shoulders up, back, and out, using the back muscles to maneuver that. Shoulders, arms, fingers ignited, pressing down, and then we'll bring them up to heart center. So we're still feeling that engaged energy in our limbs. Beautiful. She already got her chin tuck, her ears over her shoulders, and we're gonna stay here for 10 Ujjayi breaths. Here we go. Beautiful, using the belly to breathe. Thinking about this equal standing pose, the right and the left sides balancing. And you can focus on a focal point or drishti somewhere in front of you, or you can play with closing your eyes. If your mind has started to wander, come back to the breath, come back to the sensations of your body, ignited and active. And when you're complete, you're welcome to shake it off and check in with yourself. How do you feel?
Good. A little sore in my back just from like tucking that way because I'm definitely used to like worse posture.
Okay, so you're feeling a difference in sensation based on how you typically stand and what this active, ignited posture feels like. And that just takes practice over time. It'll feel more and more natural if you continue to practice with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, amazing. Now, I want to know how you feel in Samastiti versus Tadasana. What did you notice in your experience?
For me personally, I found it easier to hold this pose for some reason. I just felt more centered, perhaps because in my own meditations I tend to sit this way compared to.
Thank you so much for sharing. If you're watching at home, what was your experience? What were the similarities and differences? I'd also like to know how you felt in Tadasana and Samastiti versus our first awareness practice when we were just standing and doing a body scan. What's the difference?
Of holding the pose.
Compared to when we got on the mat and just observed how we were standing.
I'm definitely more checked in and in alignment in this posture versus my natural stance.
Okay, so more tuned in,
And
checked
stacked, yeah, and aligned, yeah.
stacked and aligned.
Mhm.
Beautiful. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about Tadasana and alignment is because I'm working on and playing with correcting a scoliotic curve in my body. From years of wearing a shoulder bag with all of my heavy school books in school on the same shoulder, I've developed a curve. So doing Tadasana is a great way to work on alignment, right? It's a great foundation before jumping into any other posture because of its foundation. It's so, so great. I mean, I could just practice Tadasana all day and feel like I got a great workout and improve so much for my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. If you have access to a mirror, that's also a great resource to use to check for alignment as well. So amazing. And before we move on from Tadasana, I'd like us to try with our arms extended upward. So get all the wiggle jiggles out. Get a little back rub from a friend if you have one available. And we'll come back into Tadasana, okay? So engage your core. Mula Bandha activated, pelvic floor. Uddiyana Bandha, belly button towards the spine, glutes engaged, right? Extending the hips here. Good. Now thinking about the grounding of the feet, the 3 pads of the feet, lifting the toes, widening them, bringing them down. Slight Pada Bandha, engaging the feet and lifting the arches. Beautiful. Amazing. Good. Lifting the kneecaps, engaging the quadriceps. Oh yeah. Engaging the hamstrings, the glutes, closing the ribs, opening the shoulders, bringing the chin down ever so slightly, hearts open, engaging the arms, energy out of the fingertips. Good. And you can bring your arms out in front of you or out to the sides to bring them up. Lengthening, shoulders down the back. Beautiful. Let's stay here for 10 Ujjayi breaths. Good. Breathing into the belly. Yes. In and out of the nose. Beautiful. You are your favorite mountain, the pinnacle. For your last few breaths, you can bring your hands together if that's available to you. And see how it feels. And when you're complete, bringing your hands back to heart center and then release. How are you feeling? Good. Do you notice any physical sensations, shifts in your awareness?
That was just a big rise of Kundalini to lift your hands up for that long, I think, and be focusing the breath lower. It was just a very interesting combination. And engaging my bottom half. So it's just a lot of balance.
Tadasana! Another really cool way to practice Tadasana is with the use of props. I love props. Iyengar loved props. So it's really something that I incorporated in my practice, and you're welcome to as well. One thing that a lot of people who practice yoga have is a yoga block. You can get these at like Walmart, Target, Amazon, really readily available. I highly recommend having some form of block. So for Tadasana, what you would do is put the block in between your legs to really help promote that activation and the squeezing. So going through all the steps that we did for Tadasana, engaging the core. Beautiful. Yes, look at that length of the spine. Good. How does that feel?
Good.
Good. Okay. My favorite prop for practicing Tadasana is the 3-minute egg. If you want one, I highly recommend getting a pair or 3 or whatever. I'll put the link in the description as well. Same thing, you would put this in between your legs. So go ahead and put this in between your legs on the upper thigh. As a result, my feet spread out just a little bit more than normal, but I'm still engaging the inner line of my legs. Good. And you can play with the placement if you feel like it's sticking out one way or another. You just make an adjustment until you get it right. And then we've got Tadasana. Super supported, super stabilizing, super powerful. Do you want to hold it for 3 minutes with a 3-minute egg?
We should try it.
Want to try it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. So we're going to take the 3-minute egg and put it in between our legs. If you don't have a 3-minute egg, use a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, you could use a sturdy book or a box. You could also take a rolled up towel. Alicia's going to demonstrate how you'd use a towel. Ta-da! So there's so many options available for you. Let's give it a try. This is the invitation of the day to do it for 3 minutes. Are you ready? All right, so grab your prop of choice and let's get started. Engage your core. Bring the belly towards the spine. Engage the glutes. Ever so slight tuck of the pelvis to lengthen the spine. Send the 3 pads of the feet toward the earth with equilibrium. Lift and separate the toes. Engage Pada Bandha. Lift the arches. Engage the calves. Lift the kneecaps. Engage the quadriceps. Squeeze the inner thighs. Squeeze the outer thighs. Squeeze the glutes. Good. Knit the ribs. Shoulders come back and down the back pockets. Good. Arms extending downward with energy out the fingertips, or you can bring them to heart center, or you can extend them up to the sky, hands over shoulders or together. It's a lot of squeezing, but you're doing a great job. We've got 2 more minutes. So good for balance. So good for posture. So good for stability, agility. And just keep coming back to your Ujjayi breath. I love it. You can play with the different variations of the posture. Becoming the mountain. Beautiful Ujjayi breath. I can hear that ocean wave. And noticing how you are actively practicing the art of balancing. Physically, forward, back, side to side. the left and right side of the body, the mental experience, the physical experience. Good. We'll take a few more rounds of Ujjayi breath. You're almost there. You're doing amazing. Ten seconds. You got this. And you have just successfully completed 3 minutes of Tadasana. You can remove your prop and shake it out. Imagine how you would feel if you practiced 3 minutes of Tadasana every single day. Ta-da! How do you feel?
Really much better than in the beginning.
Better than in the beginning.
Easier to fall into that alignment and feel the strength, like you said, all throughout my fingers and everything. It's an engaging stance compared to a passive one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like my knees are more comfortable and in alignment, where I typically in passive everyday posture notice that they click and hurt and whatever. I feel like really good. I hope you feel good too, but check in with your body. Notice the differences between when we started and where you're at now. And get out any wriggles and wiggles and giggles. Before we go on into our next pose, which is my favorite pose of all time, Vrksasana. Vrksa is tree and asana is pose. So first, before we get into this, just like we did with mountain, I want you to think about, visualize your favorite tree. Is it a willow tree? Is it an evergreen tree? Is it a fruit tree? Mine would probably be a mango tree. What kind of tree are you?
I think a willow tree.
A willow tree.
Or a palm tree, but something swaying in the wind for sure.
A coconut palm tree.
Yeah, date palm. Yeah.
The possibilities are endless. So thinking about, what are the qualities of a tree? What do you think about when you think of what a tree is?
Elder,
Okay.
strength, stretch, tall, earth, grounded.
Yeah, pretty much all the same things I came up with. How about you? So what I think is really magical and miraculous about trees is their rootedness, their groundedness into the earth. That is like this epitome of stability, right? Like no matter what's going on up here, like they're good.
Yeah.
They're solid in the earth, right? And you know, their network is wrapped around rocks, which is really safe and secure, and they're connected to the other trees. It's just so beautiful, this experience of being a tree, I imagine. And you know, the visible part of the tree is so beautiful and like erect and tall and reaching right towards the sun, towards the sky, and also creative, producing, fruit bearing or flower bearing. So there's so many elements of being a tree that I invite you to cultivate in your practice today with Vrksasana. When it comes to balance, there's so many different experiences of weather on this planet. And to be a tree, you know, we can go inside. Many of us have the availability of going indoors and creating our own safety, but trees are always exposed to the elements, whatever comes their way. And with ease and grace, they're able to balance whatever comes their way and eventually come back to center. How amazing is that? So with Vrksasana, we are balancing on one foot. If you are experiencing something in your life where you need extra stability, you could always practice against a wall, right? Holding the wall or putting your back against the wall. That's another option available to you. You could also practice this before trying the standing posture reclining. So I wanted to show you what that could look like. So I'm going to ask Alicia to come to the ground on the mat. And we're going to build tree on our backs first before we come to standing. So I'm going to go behind you so everyone can see. Now start by flexing the feet, engaging the body. So you're basically in Tadasana on your back. So just as we practiced standing, engage the feet, engage the legs, engage the core. Bring the shoulders down the back into their back pockets. Beautiful. Now take the right ball of the foot and bring it toward the left ankle, sending the right knee out to the side. Beautiful. And if you are able to, without the use of your hand, you can bring the foot higher up the leg, so either to the calf or to the thigh. I saw you wanted to use your hand, but you were a very good listener and tried anyway. And the reason we do that is to strengthen the psoas muscle, which is really important for stability and core strength. Beautiful. So here we are with tree. Engage your left foot, flex, beautiful. And you can bring your hands to heart center. You could extend them overhead. And you could bring them into cactus arms. And you could play with funny branches. It's really up to you. And so then to come out of this pose, you would bring the right foot back to meet the left the same way that we came in, we go out. Okay, thank you so much. You can come back up to standing. What was your experience doing tree lying down?
Different. I don't normally do that and like engage my feet in that sort of alignment. Yeah.
It was different. Awesome. How about you? What was your experience? Great. I really like practicing tree reclining on the ground too, because it really helps get a feel for the hip rotation and keeping the hips aligned, so that when we come to standing, we know what we want that to feel like. As I mentioned, I'm working on correcting some scoliosis in my body, so having hip alignment is really important in my practice, and I hope you find it important in yours too. So to practice tree standing up, we're going to start in Tadasana. So we'll bring our toes and heels to touch. Good. Balancing between the three pads of the feet. Good. Lifting the toes, bringing them down, and then engaging Pada Bandha, our foot lock, arches up. Good. Calves engaged, kneecaps lifted, quadriceps engaged, hamstrings engaged, glutes squeezing, core is engaged, Uddiyana Bandha, Mula Bandha, ever so slight pelvic tuck. Shoulders up, back, and down the back pockets. Good. Now, being very mindful of how our weight is distributed in our feet, we're going to shift our weight into the left foot. Good. So we're still in Tadasana, but our weight is in our left foot. Do you see what that feels like? Good. Then just like we did on the floor, we're going to take our right foot and bring the ball towards the ground. So this is called kickstand to start. Yep, so the heel is going to be on the ankle and the ball of the foot is on the floor. This is the first option available to you. If you're comfortable there, if you feel really balanced, then I invite you to bring the right foot up to the left calf, keeping that right knee turned out, keeping our hips beautiful in alignment. Nice. Yeah, feel the difference? Good. And you can bring your hands to heart center. Good. Amazing. And if it is in your practice, you can bring the foot all the way up to the top thigh. Someday. I just request that you avoid pressing into the knee joint. We want to protect our joints, so choosing either the inner leg on the lower leg or the upper leg. Good. So imagine a tree, like this strong trunk, right? All of these cells are working together. So pressing the right foot into the left leg and vice versa is going to create this really strong foundation in our center. Similarly, when we're pressing our hands together, all of our energy is coming back to the center, while simultaneously being rooted in that left foot and lifting up towards the sky. So you're welcome to stay here. You can also extend your arms up, hands over shoulders or connected. Good. Engaging Uddiyana Bandha. You can bring them to cactus arms. You can also dance in the wind. You can bring them into reverse namaste. And if you really want an extra challenge or invitation to your balance practice, you could practice closing your eyes. So let's take a few breaths here. And if you come out of it, that's okay. I love that you laughed and giggled. It's a playful experience. Just come back to the breath. Good. Ujjayi breathing, victorious breath. Because you're victorious in this moment just for showing up. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath. And we'll come out the same way we came in. So first bringing the hands to heart center, then bringing the hand down, the foot down, and then the hands follow. Good. Shake it off, shake it off. Do empty coat sleeves if you'd like. How do you feel?
Good. I love that pose.
It's a goodie. So let's balance ourselves and do the other side, okay? So starting in Tadasana, building our foundation, engaging our core, squeezing our glutes, right? Sending our energy through the 3 pads of the feet. I mean, maybe imagine your tree roots, like shooting into the earth, navigating all the crystals, talking to other tree root friends, getting good information, and then sending that energy up, drawing that water, all those nutrients into your body. The calves, lift the kneecaps, engage the quads, open these hips. Beautiful. Uddiyana Bandha, Mula Bandha. Good. Closing the ribs, opening the shoulders to relax. Yeah. Good. So feel how it feels in both feet, right? We're evenly distributed right now. And staying in Tadasana, shifting our weight to the right foot. So that when we bring our left foot into kickstand, we're balanced. Beautiful. Bringing the hands to heart center. Staying here or bringing the left foot to the calf or the inner thigh. Amazing. So some tips, some things we want to think about here are keeping the hips level, right? Something that can happen is we can sink into this hip or we can get a little wonky. So being aware, connecting your mind-body connection about keeping the hips level. Beautiful. Good. Another thing we want to think about is really engaging the glutes to send this knee out to the side. Beautiful. Amazing. And this is the art of practicing balance, right? When a gust of wind comes, how do we come back to center? Beautiful. So Ali is keeping her toes parallel to the front. You can play with the expression in your arms. Keep breathing. Keep your gaze focused on your drishti, your focal point, something that's unmoving. She's doing an excellent job of focusing on her drishti. Good. Beautiful. Opening the shoulders, opening the heart. I like to think like I'm a Care Bear and I'm sending out this heart energy into the world. And just keep focusing on your Ujjayi breath. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath here. And when you feel complete, we'll come out the same way we came in. Maybe taking a breath, noticing in Tadasana how you feel before shaking it all off. How do you feel?
Good. Definitely stronger in one foot versus the other. It was fun to play with that.
Absolutely. And being aware of those differences can help us make choices. Maybe I'm going to spend 1 minute on my strong side and 2 minutes on the side I'd like to improve strength with. So I appreciate that insight. Thank you. Yeah, so check in. How do you feel? What was easy for you? What was challenging? What do you want to keep working on? And how does this practice of balancing on the mat influence us off the mat? Do you have any ideas?
I think for me, when we're passively standing, like waiting in line or something, it's an opportunity to check in with ourselves and engage in our posture while we have to be standing in mountain pose anyway. We might as well be engaged in a proper, balanced way.
I love that. There are so many moments and opportunities in our everyday life that we can be doing yoga incognito. No one has to know. Or they can know if you want to share. That's great too. I used to do UV tanning in a stand-up booth, and I would be doing Tadasana, I'd be doing Utkatasana, and it's just, how can we incorporate yoga in our life to practice this art of balancing, coming back to the center dynamically all the time, and being consciously aware. I think that's really what it comes down to, like noticing, wow, I'm leaning really far right. Okay, let me bring it back to center. And it's like a dance. It's so fun. So awesome. That was Vrksasana, tree pose. Yay! So we have covered Tadasana, Samastiti, Vrksasana. Now we are going to dive into Garudasana, which in English is known as eagle pose. However, I learned that in South Asia, a Garuda is actually a mythical bird with the body of a man, a golden body of a man, a white face, red wings, and an eagle's beak. And Garuda really symbolizes sustained attention. So to keep that in mind as we practice this twisty pose of Garudasana. So to start, we're going to stand in Tadasana, of course, thinking about all the things we've been working on today. The core is engaged, glutes squeeze, pads of the feet have the weight evenly distributed. Good. Engaging the arches, the backs of the legs engaged, the kneecaps lift, quadricep muscles engaged, lengthening the hips. Good. Closing the ribs, hollowing out. Beautiful. Lengthening the low back, heart open, shoulders back, slight chin tuck. Amazing. Now, I've heard eagle taught 2 different ways. You can either start with the lower body or the upper body. So we are going to practice both today. So for the first version, we're going to shift our weight into our left leg and bend the left knee. Take the right leg over the left and bring the right foot to the earth. This is the first version. Exactly. So we're bending our left leg almost as if we're sitting in a chair. Good. If you are able to, you can take the right ankle and bring it around the left leg. Exactly. As long as you can keep your hips square. Beautiful. Another option, you can take a block next to the foot and plant the right ball of the foot on the block if it doesn't reach the floor. It's up to you. Would you like the block or would you like me to remove it?
You can remove it.
Okay. Goodbye, block. Good. So in eagle, really get into that deep sit. Yes, amazing. Finding that balance. And with whichever leg is on top, that's which arm is going to be on bottom. So bringing the arms out to shoulder height. Take the right arm under the left, crossing, beautiful. And you can either have the backs of the arms just touching, that's one option, or if you are able to, bring the wrists to face each other. Beautiful, really opening the back of the shoulders. Good, hips in alignment, beautiful. Good. Her drishti is like on point. And if you'd like, you can think about sending the arms upward as the shoulders drop down for a really nice stretch. Coming back to our intention of Garuda, sustained attention. As we balance here, beautiful. Keep breathing, Ujjayi breath. Nice. And to come out, we'll come out the same way we came in, so undoing the arms, and then bringing the feet back to Tadasana, noticing how your body feels. And let's do the other side. We'll start with the arms. So bringing the arms out, taking the left arm under the right. Good. One other variation is you could do genie arms if that's what's available to you. Then bringing the elbows together, forearms touch, and then lastly wrapping the wrists to face each other. Beautiful. Now that we have our arms all set up, shift the weight into the right foot. Sit back in your chair, bending the knee. Bring the left leg over to touch the floor, or bringing the left ankle behind the right leg. Beautiful. Keeping the hips aligned. Yes, nice adjustment. And to really feel a nice stretch in the shoulders, you can think about lifting the elbows up as you bring the shoulders down. Continuing to breathe, Ujjayi breathing. Focus on your drishti. One more round of breath here, you got this. Coming out the same way we came in, so unraveling the legs, straightening the legs, arms come out and down. How do you feel?
Good. Like a golden eagle.
Garuda! Embracing that energy, I love it. Do you have a preference of starting with the upper body or the lower body?
I think lower. Starting with the lower and then bringing the arms into it, because I liked this option as well.
The genie arms,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what's so cool about these poses, is that there's always something to strive for and to work towards, and there's always something that we can do now, right? It's like the dialectics of accepting where you are right now and working towards positive change. And, you know, some people might say there's a right and a wrong way to do this. I think there are definitely more effective ways to do a pose than others, right? More alignment based. But I've been in classes where teachers have taught upper body first and then lower body and vice versa. So in your home practice, do what's effective for you and for your body and for your goals.
And for that side and the moment, just like tree pose, sometimes you want to be like this, sometimes on your calf, same with the eagle.
Yeah, being loving towards what your body wants to do and needs for nourishment, right? So that is Garudasana. Woohoo! Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful journey, this workshop of practicing the art of balancing. We also really practice being one with nature, becoming the mountain, becoming the tree, becoming Garuda. And so I really appreciate your willingness to show up and to do this for yourself. I'm also honored that you chose me to be your guide, and thank you so much, Allie, for joining this amazing time. I invite you to take what you've learned today with you moving forward in your everyday life, on the mat, off the mat, right? Alicia had such a great idea. When you're in line at the grocery store or wherever you find yourself, you can check in with your posture, with your alignment, with your balance, right? Where am I leaning? Am I leaning forward? Okay, let me bring it back to center, because this can provide so much insight for our lives. It's been said that if we tend to lean forward, we are often anxious about the future or worrying about what's coming next. If we tend to lean back, we might be ruminating or thinking about the past. So by coming to our center physically, we are also coming to this present moment, really literally, with our body-mind union, yoga, connection. Similarly, how can we embrace this energy of being the tree, both grounded in the earth and also reaching, right? It's this beautiful balance that we get to practice in these postures. So while it is with so much physical benefit with our posture, with our alignment, we also get these life juicy enhancements to our whole being. So I encourage you to journal about your experience in this workshop, what your takeaways are, what you'd like to continue to practice. And I just really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much. For more of these amazing yoga workshops, definitely subscribe to my channel. I also talk about how to create optimal health and wellness with other modalities as well. So if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Have a happy, healthy, dynamic day.
Thank you, Lexi.